which have resulted in number of computational models of swarm intelligence. So the swarm intelligence is emerged from the collaborative trial and error behavior of social insects. So in this swarm, the members are considered to be active, interactive, dynamic, and with very small inherent intelligence. So within these swarms, the collective behavior will be quite complex, and these collective behavior emerges from the behavior of the individual of the swarm. So there are two important concerns before designing the robust search process. One is nothing but the exploration, and other is nothing but your exploitation. So exploration is nothing but it is independent search for an optimal solution, and exploitation is nothing but existing knowledge to bias the research. So when you go for this type of optimization problem, I'm going to discuss about the honeybee algorithm, which is inspired from the natural foraging behavior of honeybees. Foraging means it is nothing but how it is going to find out the food source for its survival. So the honeybee algorithm inspired from the natural foraging behavior of honeybees in order to determine the optimal solution. That means this algorithm is going to perform both an exploitative neighborhood search combined with random explorative search. That is the thing which we are going to see in this algorithm. So when you look into the honeybee method, so this honeybee method, we are going to classify into two types of algorithm. That is algorithms that utilize genetic and behavioral mechanism underlying the bee's mating behavior, which we call it as nothing but honeybee mating algorithm, which I am going to discuss in detail. And the second one, algorithms
Ma'am,
that,
sorry for the
yes,
disturbance.
yes, sir.
Your PPT is not visible, ma'am. Actually, your
Okay,
desktop only visible.
okay, sir, I'll check it. I'll once again share it.
Yeah,
Maybe.
yeah, okay.
I think now it is visible.
Yes,
Now
ma'am,
it is
visible,
visible
ma'am.
now, sir.
Yeah, yes, ma'am, visible, ma'am. Okay,
Okay.
ma'am, you can continue. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. So two types of honeybee algorithm are there. One is nothing but based on the genetic and behavioral mechanism underlying the bee's mating behavior, which is nothing but a honeybee mating algorithm. And the other algorithm, which is going to take the inspiration from the foraging behavior of the bee, which we call it as nothing but your artificial honeybee algorithm. So the first class of optimization algorithm, when you go for the honeybees, normally the honeybees are social insects that live in large and well organized hives. So the social intelligence and observance of the collective rules and the division of labor are some of the traits that the honeybees exhibit. So the first class of optimization algorithm makes use of the fact that the honeybee colony will comprise of large number of individuals which may be genetically heterogeneous due to the queen mating with the multiple males. So many of these algorithms will be performing the operators of your mutation as well as your crossover. But first, I'll discuss about your foraging behavior. That is what is meant by a honeybee foraging method. Then I'll go for honeybee matting algorithm, because that is the most important algorithm which I'm going to discuss in detail. So what is meant by foraging? That is, foraging in the case of a honeybee is nothing but basically the decision process which will enable the honeybee to locate or to exploit the food source which will be available nearer to its nest. Okay, so foraging is nothing but it is going to follow an intelligent manner to determine or to find out the location of the place where the food source will be available. That is why we say it is nothing but basically foraging. So foraging will enable the honeybees to have a balanced exploitation of the known food sources with the exploration of new as well as potentially better food sources in a dynamic environment. So for this, we are going to use artificial bees to search for solution as well as associate the solution with the food sources. So that means first the honeybee will go and locate the source, and then it will communicate the location of the food source to the other bees which are present in the case of your hives. So they follow some method in order to communicate the location of the source as well as what will be the quality of the nectar and how far the source is from their hives. So all these will be communicated to the other bees in the case of the hive. That is why we call it as nothing but this is basically a foraging method. So this foraging normally will use artificial bees so that they will start searching for solution as well as associated solution with the food sources. That means depending on the number of food sources found and the quality, we have a subset of artificial bee population which will explore the environment by finding new food sources, while the remaining bees will exploit the environment around the found food sources and it will try to find even better food sources. So first of all, it will go and find out a particular food source and it will communicate with the other bees so that the other bees will identify what is a particular source, and if that source content is exhausted, then they will go for finding out the other sources randomly and then they identify the new sources for their survival. That means the honeybee follows intelligent manner while searching the food. It can communicate the information, then it can memorize the environment, it can store and share the information and take decisions based on that. So according to the changes in the environment, the swarm will update itself and it will assign the task dynamically, and then it moves further by social learning and teaching. So this intelligent behavior of bees only motivated the researchers to simulate the foraging behavior of a honeybee. So in the case of a honeybee, that is which is involved in the case of the foraging process, the population explores randomly the area surrounding the hive in search of new food sources or new flower patches which will be rich in the case of nectar or pollen. So when you look into the steps that are involved in the case of foraging, what are the components that are required in the case of a honeybee foraging is we need food sources. The second one is nothing but your employed bees. The third one is nothing but your unemployed bees. Then the foraging behavior and how it is going to communicate to the other bees in the case of hive, which we call it as nothing but by means of a dance. It is going to communicate about the location of the source or about the quality of the nectar and how far it is from the nest. All these things will be communicated to the other bees in the case of the hive by means of a dance. So you need a food source. First of all, you have to go for locating a source. Then who are all employed is nothing but you have employed bees who will do this function. Then you have unemployed bees who will get the information from the employed bees, and we have to go for foraging behavior of the bees and then how it is going to communicate with the other bees in the hive by means of the dance. So while searching for food, first of all, the bee will select a particular food source or it is going to select a particular flower. Then by identifying a particular flower, how much nectar that the food source contains and how it can be extracted, then how far it is, in which direction it is available from the nest. All these information will be saved by means of the bees. Okay, so it will go for selecting a location, then it will find out how much amount of nectar is available in that particular source. That means what is the quality of the food source, then what are the ways by which it can extract the nectar, whether it is easy or it is difficult from that particular flower, then how far the location from the hive and in which direction it is available from the its colony, and all these information will be saved in the case of the bee, and these sources are exploited by a particular group of bees whom we call it as nothing but employed bees, because the components involved is nothing but location of the food source, then employed bees will be there, unemployed bees will be there, then we are to find out what will be the foraging behavior and how it is going to communicate with the other bees. So the employed bees are the major one which will be first finding out the location of your food sources and identifying the quality of the food sources, then the ways of extraction, then which direction the food source is available from the nest, and all these sources will be exploited by a particular group of bees which we call it as nothing but your employed bees. Okay, and these employed bees will share their information with another group of bees whom we call it as nothing but your unemployed bees. Okay, employed bees only first of all will collect the information. The unemployed bees will share the will get the information from the unemployed bees with a certain probability. So the unemployed bees will be getting the information from the employed bees with a certain probability, and these unemployed bees will select a food source to exploit. So in the case of unemployed bee, we classify two types of bee. One is nothing but an onlooker bee, other is nothing but a scout bee. What is the onlooker bee? This will collect information from the employed bees or the employer bees in the hive, and it will try to establish a food source for themselves. They are called as nothing but basically the onlooker bee. So onlooker bee will collect the information from the employed bees in the hive, and it will try to establish a food source for themselves. Then what is basically the scout bee? These are responsible for finding out the new food sources around the hive. So the onlooker bee will collect the information and it will try to establish a food source for themselves based upon the information that is received from the employed bees. Okay. Whereas the scout bee, they will try to find out the new food resources around the hive, so that when existing food sources are exhausted, they start searching the location of the food sources in a random manner. Okay, so you have employed bee which will collect the information, then you have unemployed bee which will extract or which will get the information from the employed bee, and in the case of unemployed bee, we are going to classify into onlooker bee and the scout bee. And the onlooker bee is nothing but it is going to collect information from the employed bee and it will try to establish a source for themselves. Whereas the scout bee, once the collected food source is getting exhausted, it will try to find out what will be the alternative food source, and it will try to find out new food source location nearer to the hive so that it can store it for its future use. And on an average, I can say that 50% of the bees are unemployed and 5 to 10% of the total bees are scout bees. Okay, only 50% of the bees are unemployed and 5 to 10% of the total bees are scouts. So first thing in the case of foraging is nothing but collecting the information about the food sources. So in this process, in the case of the foraging, what we are going to see is nothing but the bee will initially leave the hive and it starts searching the food. Once it gets the food sources, it will extract the nectar from it and it will store it in her stomach. And what is the time taken to extract the nectar? Will be around 30 to 120 minutes, because during the duration it will determine what will be the richness of the nectar, what will be the distance of the food source from the hive, and what are the methods by which this nectar can be extracted. So in the case of the foraging behavior, normally the bee will leave the hive, then it will start searching for the food source. Once it identifies a particular location, it will start extracting the nectar and it will start storing it in the case of the stomach. And time taken to extract the nectar will be around 30 to 120 minutes, and it will decide what will be the richness of the nectar, in which location it is there, the source is there, whether it is nearby the hive, because it has to communicate to the other bees in the case of the colony. So with the secretion of enzymes in her stomach, the honey making process will start and it is going to unload the nectar in the case of the empty cells after reaching the hive. So it starts collecting, extracts the nectar, and then goes back to its nest or goes back to its hive. Then it starts unloading the collected nectar in the case of empty cells. That is also very important, because sometimes the bees will find it difficult to unload the nectar in the case of empty cell. That also it will try to communicate by means of a dance. Normally waggle dance is employed, but let me tell, there are three different types of dance, or there are three different types of communication by which the bee will communicate to the other bees in the case of hive in order to locate the food source. So it will unload the nectar in the case of empty cells after reaching to the hive. Then she will be sharing the information with the other bees in the hive in the form of a dance. That is why I am specifying, when they return to the nest, those scouts which have found a rich food source will communicate their finding to the resting bees in the case of the hive through a procedure known as a waggle dance. So this waggle dance will tell you, or it will encode the information on the location of the flower patch and what will be the quality rating. That means the rating of the food source will depend upon what will be the content and how far it is from the hive, and what will be the concentration of the nectar, what will be the quality, that is nothing but the richness of the nectar. So waggle dance is nothing but one way by which the bees will communicate to the other bees which are residing in the case of hive and inform them about the location of the food source. So when you go for the communication, there are three types of dance. One we call it as a round dance, other is nothing but a waggle dance, and the third one is nothing but basically tremble dance. Okay, so there are three ways by which the honey bee will communicate the information to the other bees in the case of the hive. One we call it as basically the round dance, second we call it as nothing but the waggle dance, and third one is nothing but basically tremble dance. So round dance, normally the dance will be performed not only in a particular area in the case of the hive, the dance will be performed by the bees on the different parts of the hive area, so that it gets communicated to all other bees in the case of the hive. So it will not perform the dance at a particular part, but it will be performing the dance on the different parts of the hive, so that the communication is received by all other bees in the case of the hive. So what is basically round dance? This will not inform about the direction of the food source. So it will perform a simple round dance, which means it will tell that the food source is nearby. So when it performs a round dance, the indication is nothing but it will inform the other bees in the case of hive that it has identified the food source and the food source is nearby the hive, but it will not tell in which direction the food source is available. That is called as nothing but round dance. But when we go for waggle dance, because we account only the waggle dance while performing this algorithm, this will inform about the direction of food with respect to sunlight, and the employed bees will select this dance, and the speed of the dance will be proportional to the distance of the food source from the hive. Okay, so waggle dance is nothing but basically we define that it is going to give this information or communicate the information to the other bees about the direction of the food with respect to the sunlight, and the speed at which the dance is performed by the bee will be proportional to the distance of food source from the hive. Then the third dance will be tremble dance, and if the bee is going to take a longer time to unload the nectar, that is why I said unloading is also not very easy in the case of bees. So if it takes a longer time to unload the nectar, then it starts trembling and it indicates that she doesn't know the probability of the current food source. Okay, so three types of dance are performed. One is a round dance, other is a waggle dance, other is a tremble dance. When you go for the round dance, it will indicate food source is available near to the hive, but it will not tell what will be the direction. In the case of waggle dance, it will tell in which direction the food source is available, and the speed of the dance also will be proportional to the distance of the food source. Then with respect to the tremble dance, if the bee takes a longer time to unload the nectar, it will inform that she is not aware about the quality of the food source or quality of the nectar which she had extracted from the particular flower. So this is one of the way by which the honeybee will communicate to the other bees about the food source location. So using this information that is collected through the waggle dance, a number of unemployed bees will start proceeding to the advertised food sources which has been given by means of the unemployed bees. Okay, so once the information is done by means of the waggle dance, then the other bees will receive the information so that it starts proceeding towards the food source. So when a recruited bee comes back to the hive, it may in turn waggle dance to guide the other bees to the food source. So one by one, they will go and find out the food source and they communicate with the other bees in the case of the hive, so that the length of the waggle dance is determined by the quality rating of the flower patch. So this waggle dance is one of the important parameter in the case of this honeybee foraging behavior, where we have to get the information so that all other bees will start searching the source. In the case of bee algorithm, when you go for each point in the solution space, it is basically thought as a food source. That means when a bee visits a particular location or a particular food source, it rates its quality through the fitness function. And the scout bees are normally employed to sample the fitness landscape randomly, so that it will try to look for the areas which are not explored, and it will try to find out what will be the fitness for the particular location. Or in other words, the new solutions will be randomly created and evaluated. So the visited sites will be marked, it will be ranked, and it will be recruited to harvest the neighborhood of the highest ranking location, so that the new solutions which will be similar to the current best finds are created and evaluated in the case of your honeybee foraging. So when you go for honeybee foraging, you have two types of behavior. One is the recruitment behavior, other is nothing but your navigation behavior. So recruitment behavior is nothing but the waggle dancing, because the communication that is done by means of series of alternating left and right loops. Then what will be the direction of the dance and what will be the duration of the dance? That is also very, very important in the case of recruitment behavior. And when you go for the navigation behavior, we have to go for identifying the path vector, and then we have to go for constructing the path. So the algorithm for the foraging has two steps. One is nothing but managing the activity of bees. Second one is nothing but calculating the vectors. So managing the bees activity is nothing but we are going to handle the agent activity based on the internal state. That means we are going to decide how it is going to locate the food source and how it is going to communicate, and from that how we are going to frame the objective function. Then the calculate vector, it is nothing but used for administrative purpose, so that we are going to find out what is the information that is corrected is true. Based upon this, we are going for the optimization. So what are the applications for which this bee algorithm can be employed? This can be used for training neural networks, for pattern recognition, then for forming manufacturing cells, as well as the most popularly used application is nothing but scheduling jobs for a production machine, or you can go for data clustering. So these are the simple applications where you can apply the concept of your foraging behavior of your honeybee algorithm. So I'm going to discuss in detail about the mating algorithm, but with respect to the honeybee algorithm, at least you should know what are the methods that are available. So as far as your honeybee, we go for artificial bee, that is nothing but the foraging behavior of the honeybee. Second one is nothing but we are going to discuss in detail about the mating algorithm. And when you compare this honeybee with the ant colony algorithm, what is the advantage is that ants will use the pheromones for backtracking the route to determine the food source, whereas the bees instead use path integration. PI refers to nothing but the path integration, so that they're able to compute the present location from the past trajectory continuously. And one more thing, the bees can return to home through direct route instead of backtracking their original route. So does path emerge faster? That means the computation time will be faster in the case of your honeybee algorithm compared to that of your ant colony algorithm. So this is basically the difference between your ant colony algorithm and your honeybee algorithm. So let us go for the second part of your honeybee optimization, the honeybee mating optimization. So this is also a very interesting algorithm, so that the computation time is also less in the case of honeybee mating optimization. So when you look into the behavior of your honeybee, normally the honeybees will live together in a well-organized hives. We say it is a colony, or we say it is nothing but basically hives. So why they have to live in the case of hives is nothing but they want to maximize the efficiency of the bees by means of division of labor. That means there are many members in the case of the hive, male members, female members, and workers are there in the case of hive, so that they partition the work and they divide the work among themselves and then try to exhibit the work, and they will be able to obtain a higher efficiency by means of division of labor. That is a behavior that is we are going to replicate in the case of your algorithm. So the colony of bees are a group of bees which are living together is nothing but basically referred to as nothing but one bee hive. So hive is nothing but where you have a group of bees or a colony of your beehive. So who are the members in the case of the honeybee hive? The honeybee hive will consist of a single queen. It will have only one queen, and you will have broods, then you will have drones who are all the male members, and then you have workers. So the members in the case of the hive will be, you will have only a single queen, then broods will be there, drones will be there, and workers will be there. So the queen will go and mate with the male bees, and then it will result in the case of a mating flight, undergo reproduction, and that algorithm only we are going to mimic and apply it for an application. So the drones are haploid and they amplify their mother's genome without alteration of a genetic composition. So when you look into the honeybee colony, as I said, it will have only a single egg laying long lived queen, and you will have several thousand drones. Drones are nothing but they are all the male bees, and you will have 0 to several thousand drones, but queen will be a single egg laying queen will be there in the case of a hive. And usually you will have 10,000 to 60,000 workers in the case of a honeybee. So that is why I said a honeybee will consist of a single queen, then broods, then the drones and the workers. But queen will be a single queen only, but the drones will be several thousand drones will be there, and several thousand workers will be there. So the queen and the workers are basically male. Try to understand, the queen and the workers are male, while the drones are, I'm sorry, the queen and the workers are female, while the drones are male. So the queen is the only bee that can mate with the drones and can fertilize the eggs. But however, the queens are not the only colony members capable of production, because queen and workers are also female. But the honeybee workers cannot mate with queen, and it can go for laying the male eggs. That is one important observation. And when you go for drones, drones are referred to as nothing but they are basically the fathers of the colony. So queen is the female and drones are called as nothing but fathers of the colony. But the queen can lay both fertilized as well as unfertilized eggs. So fertilized eggs means they represent the female bees, which will be worker or queen, and unfertilized eggs represent the drones. But normally when a new queen is born, it is going to replace the old queen or it is going to leave the hive. So note the point, whenever a new queen is born, it is going to replace the old queen, because the way by which or the speed by which the old queen may function will not be satisfactory, so that it may replace the old queen or it may leave that particular hive. So when you account a honeybee optimization, the queen is the most important member of a hive. She is the important member of a hive because she is the one that is going to breed new members. So approximately it may go for 18 drones, and the queen bee will mate for 1 to 5 times over several days in her life. So the sperm from the drone will be planted inside a pouch, which we call it as spermatheca, in her body, so that she uses that stored sperm to fertilize the eggs. So the successful drones in the mating flights may die immediately after mating with the queen. Also, the unsuccessful ones also will die due to starvation. And normally the queen will start laying eggs in the middle of February and it will continue up to June. That is, the population will grow day by day till space shortage appears in the case of a hive. So what will be the queen? The queen will exit from the hive and it will engage in a mating flight around the hive in order to fertilize her eggs. So during the mating flight, what will happen? The queen will usually mate with around 7 to 20 drones. Okay, normally it will try to mate with 7 to 20 drones, and during each mating process, what happens? The drone sperm reaches the queen spermatheca. That is nothing but the pouch in which the sperm of the drone will be carried, and it accumulates there to form the genetic pool of the colony. Once this mating flight is over, what will happen? The queen will return to the hive and it will start laying the eggs. So what will be the duration is nothing but it is February and it continues up to June. So when you go for the honeybee mating optimization algorithm, so it is going to mimic the queen, the broods and the drones, which will be the possible solution, and they are also made of genes, and each gene will be equivalent to a decision variable, as queen plays an important role in the case of your honeybee mating optimization. So the queen will be characterized with a genotype, then the speed, energy and a spermatheca with a defined capacity, and this will be initialized before each mating flight. So the best solution is always considered as the queen, and the broods can be diploid or haploid. Diploid means you have two pair of chromosomes, whereas haploid broods means it will have a single pair of chromosomes. So these, by applying your mutation and crossover operators on the queen's genome and the drones, then we'll be performing the mutation process on the queen, so that the best solution is considered as the queen. Because once the mating is over, the drone sperm will be stored in the case of your queen spermatheca, so that during the breeding process, a brood will be constructed by copying some of the drone's genes into the brood genotype and completing the rest of the genes from the queen's genome. Okay, so what is the honeybee optimization? Normally, it starts with a random generation of the initial population of possible solution, and these solutions will be ranked based on the fitness value, and the best solution is always marked as nothing but basically the queen. That means a mating flight will be implemented to randomly select the drones as well as to identify the decision space, so that the queen will mate with the male or with the drones that are present in the case of your hive. So what are the characteristics of the HBMO, which is a decision variable? Gene is a decision variable, and the best solution is nothing but your B, that is the B. And sorry, the solution is nothing but the B. What is the old solution will be the queen and the drone, and the new solution will be brood, because in the breeding process, the brood will be constructed by copying some of the drone's genes itself. That is why the new solution will be brood, but the best solution will be the queen, and the fitness function will be nothing but the fitness of the B, and the initial solution is nothing but basically the random B, and the selection process is nothing but the mating process. So these are the characteristics of your HBMO. So let us go into the process of your honeybee optimization. So in this method, as I discussed, the honeybee colony will consist of queen, then the drones. Queen will give you the best solution, the drones will give you the incumbent solution, and the broods will give you the trial solution, and the heuristic solution will be given by the workers in the case of your honeybee. So the queen is going to store the different genotypes of the drones in the case of the mating flight, and the drone's function is nothing but to mate with the queen. The function of the drone, which are the fathers in the case of hive, is only to mate with the queen. So once the mating process is over, the queen bee will leave the hive, mate with the drones. That is, it is going to resemble the natural mating behavior of the queen. So once this process is over, it is going back to the hive, and then it is going for laying the eggs. And what is the process that is going to happen is the brood is generated after the queen and the drone are crossovered. So try to understand, the brood is generated only after the queen and the drone is crossover. That means each of them refers to a chromosome which will be combined by several genes, which will be the input parameters for the algorithm. So if the problem tries to find the best men, that the parameter gene should include the income, then the height and other characteristics. That is why we say that the brood is generated after the crossover of the queen and the drone. Then the best brood will be selected by exploration only. That is nothing but the local search method from the generated broods. So it will fit into the best solution. Therefore, the selected brood will be replacing the existing queen. And this worker bee will do all the different tasks needed to maintain and operate the hive. So the algorithm is depicted here. So you have brood, then we have a list of drones. So what is the process that is involved in the case of your HBMO is nothing but, initially I'm going to select a drone at random from the list of drones. Then I'm going to choose a particular drone, and then I have the queen. Then I'm going to go for the drone and the queen, going for the mating process, and the brood we are going to apply the local search method. And then if they replace the queen, if the best brood is better than the queen, otherwise we'll be finding out the queen as the best solution. So this picture will give you how the mating process is done in the case of honeybee and how we are going to execute the algorithm. So this is a flow chart of the algorithm. So what is the basic process involved in implementing this honeybee mating algorithm is, what is the first set is nothing but, what will be the first step? HBMO, that is a honeybee mating algorithm, starts with the random generation of initial population. First of all, it is going to start with the random generation of initial population, because you look into the picture, from a list of drones we have to select a drone at random. That is the first step. So the first step in the case of this algorithm is, we are going to start with the random generation of the initial population. But the best solution is always marked out as the queen. Don't forget, the best solution is always marked out as the queen. The second step is, once the drone is selected at random, then you have the queen. A mating flight is implemented to randomly select the drones from the decision space in order to mate with the queen. Okay, first we go for random generation of initial population. Second one, what we are going to do, a mating flight will be implemented, so that we are going to randomly select the drones from the decision space to be to perform the mating flight with the queen. The third step is, the genome of each selected drone will be stored in the queen's spermatheca. Okay, so first is initial selection, second one is nothing but the mating flight or the mating process, third one is nothing but the genome of each selected drone will be stored in the queen's spermatheca. Now fourth step will be the queen and the solution, which will be stored in the queen's spermatheca, will be used to make the next generation. Okay, then the fifth step is, the broods are made by applying mutation on queen. Okay, fifth step is nothing but the broods are made by applying the mutation on the queen. Then the sixth one, the diploid broods will be made by applying crossover and mutation operation between the queen and the solution that is stored. So the last step is nothing but the best brood will replace the old queen if it is better than the old queen. So let us look into the algorithm. The steps of the algorithm only I have explained now. So first we'll be starting, then you define what are the parameters of the algorithm, then generate what will be the initial possible solutions randomly, that is nothing but selecting randomly the drones, make the best solution out as the queen, then select the drones for mating with the queen. Then we are going to generate the broods by applying mutation on the queen, then improve the broods by worker. Then if the termination criteria is satisfied, what is the termination criteria? I have to look into the number of iterations, then the amount of improvement of the fitness function between the consecutive iterations, and what will be the runtime. So based on this only, we are going to fix the termination criteria. That is number of iterations, the amount of improvement of fitness function, and what will be the runtime of the algorithm. If it is satisfied, then report the queen, and the best solution, we are going to take it as a queen, and we are going to end the process. If the termination criteria is not satisfied, then again we are going for selecting the drones to perform the mating flight. So this is the flow chart of your algorithm. That means what are the parameters that we are going to take in this algorithm? The speed and the energy of the queen are the most important parameters of the algorithm, which is going to control the rate of convergence. Okay, the parameters of this algorithm is nothing but I'm going to take what will be the speed at which the queen is going to perform, or the particular bee is going to perform this mating process, and what will be the energy, because it goes throughout the hive. The queen is going throughout the hive, and at each mating flight it contacts with 7 to 20 drones, and again it goes to another set. In such case, the speed and the energy of the queen are the important parameters in this algorithm, since it is going to control what will be the rate of convergence. Okay. So each possible solution of the problem by HBMO is called as a B, and here B means we are going to represent the drone, the queen, or brood in the case of the mathematical problem, so that we are going to give it as an optimization problem being an array of size 1 cross n, where B equal to x of capital X, which will be the solution of the optimization problem, which is equal to small x1, x2 up to xi and xn, where xi represents what will be the decision variable of the solution x, and n represents the number of decision variables. Okay, so I'm going to represent this as a matrix of solution which is generated randomly, and the population is given. The rows and columns represents the number of bees and the number of decision variables respectively. So I'm going to take x1, x2, xj up to xm, and this is nothing but x1, 1, x1, 2 up to x1n, and it goes up to xjn, where xj is nothing but the jth solution, and xj, I is nothing but the ith decision variable, and m represents what will be the population size. So this gives you what will be the matrix of solution, which will be generated randomly, and the rows and column of the matrix will determine the number of bees and the number of decision variables, since the speed and the energy of the queen are important parameters which is going to control the rate of convergence in this algorithm. Then look into this. So we are going to determine the best solution. Best one is designated as the queen. So this is nothing but the randomly generated, so that we have f of x. Then these are nothing but the trial solutions, and the best solution, best one is nothing but the queen is designated as the best solution according to the fitness function f of x. Then the drone selection plays an important role, because the HBMO will select the drones in order to mate with the queen, or during the mating flight it has to generate the broods. Broods are nothing but they are basically the new solution. So there are two strategies used for the drone selection. One is nothing but we go for mating flight. Other is nothing but considering the trial solutions as their drones. So this is very important process. So in the case of mating flight, during each mating flight, the queen will fly based upon its energy and the speed. That is why I said the speed and energy of the queen are important factors which will be generated at random for the queen before the mating flight commences. Okay, But once the mating flight begins and the queen, based on its speed and the energy, will try to find the best randomly generated drones for a mating. So the queen's motion will be governed by its speed, which will be the probability of mating between the queen and the drones. That is why I'm telling that at the beginning of the mating flight, the speed of the queen will be at its maximum, but as it goes from one part of the hive to the other part, as one set of mating flight is over, then it goes to the other one. What happens? It loses its energy, so that the speed and the energy of the queen will be comparably less when it gets different drones before, when I compare with the speed and the energy of the queen at the beginning of your mating flight. So this is an important criteria which has to be noted while framing the code in the case of your mating flight. So that we give the function for the mating flight as xq comma xd, which will give you the probability. What is the probability for the mating flight? How a drone will be selected, and with the selected drone, how the mating process is going to do, and f of xq represents what will be the fitness function of the queen, and f of xd represents what will be the fitness function of the drone, and here lambda represents what will be the queen's speed, which is an important parameter of the algorithm, and the selective pressure is high when lambda is low, and vice versa. And this have a distributed random variable, so that we give the value as 0 to 1, since we are going to randomly select the drone. Okay, that is very, very important in the case of your mating flight. Then the queen's energy and the speed will decrease once it starts moving in the space after completing 1 or 2 mating flights, so that the new one, psi of nu, is given by psi minus gamma, where psi of nu represents what will be the new energy of the queen, and psi represents what will be the old energy of the queen, and lambda nu represents what will be the new speed. So when before the mating process is going to begin, the speed and the energy of the queen will be more, but as it gets various drones during its mating process, in the case of the hive, the speed and the energy of the queen will decay, and that is given by the coefficient alpha. So lambda represents what will be the old speed of your queen. Then we have to find out what will be the trial solution, so that the queen will select the drones for crossover, and the SC values will be in the range of 0.5 to 1. And this will be the formula, because x of q represents what will be at the starting point, and as the mating process goes, xq of t minus 1. Then the most important approaches is nothing but how your crossover and mutation is going to happen. So you have 3 types of crossover: single point crossover, then 2-point crossover, and a random crossover. So when you look into the single point crossover, look into the parent. So here you have A and B, but look into the offspring. At single point crossover, it gets reversed. So the genes will get reversed. So this will be B and this will be A. So this is called as nothing but a single point crossover. And in the case of 2-point crossover, adjacent to the 2-point crossover, the offspring, the genes for the offspring will get changed. So here you have BB, and here you have AA, and here also you can see that you have BB, and here also you have AB. This is called as nothing but a 2-point crossover. This is nothing but a random one, so that here the first portion you can look into the offspring, it will be changed, and here also instead of AB you will have BA. So you have 3 types of crossover: single point, then 2-point crossover, and a random crossover. So this is nothing but the mutation process. This is the original brood, and this is the muted brood where this is randomly generated. That is why we say we are going to perform the mutation and the crossover, so that we get the best solution in this case. So What will be the user defined parameters for the HBMO is the size of the population, then the size of the queen's spermatheca, where the drone sperm will be stored, and the theta, the value of the queen's energy, then the reduction factor of the queen's speed alpha, and the termination criteria. Because we have taken the termination criteria as number of iterations, then amount of improvement of the fitness function, and the runtime. So these are the termination criteria which we have taken for the HBMO. So the parameters for the HBMO represents what is the population size, then what will be the size of the queen's spermatheca, and then what will be the queen's energy, then what will be the reduction factor in the case of the queen's speed, and the termination criteria. So the good choice of the parameter is related to the decision space, so that we have to identify exactly what will be the parameters that are involved in the case of your HBMO. So this is actually a pseudo code for the HBMO, a simple code which you can apply for any type of your problems. So let us take theta as the threshold of applying the mating flight. Psi is nothing but the energy of the queen, and M is nothing but the population size. So first you mark the best solution out as the queen and other solutions as trial solution. That is very important. Then you evaluate the difference between the queen of the present and the previous iteration, because we have defined what is this eta, what is this theta, and this is greater than theta. Then fill the queen's spermatheca with the best trial solutions as drones. Otherwise, generate what is the energy and speed of the queen randomly. But when psi is greater than 0, what happens? If the queen's spermatheca is not full, then we have to again generate a solution randomly. And if the fitness value of the generated solution is better than the queen, then what happens? The generated solution will be gone for the queen's spermatheca, so that we have to update what will be the speed and energy. Otherwise, we have to add the generated solution to the queen's spermatheca, and we have to update what will be the queen's speed and the energy. If it is not full, if the queen's spermatheca is not full, then we have to fill the queen's spermatheca with the trial solution. Then we have to go for generation of the broods with the crossover and mutation. Improve the broods by means of workers. Replace all your trial solutions with a new generated solution. Then we have to empty the queen's spermatheca and end the process, since we are going to take the best one is designated as the queen solution. So this is a sample pseudocode with the help of the algorithm, that is the flow chart which I have shown in the previous one. So just I want to show you the flow chart. So you can follow the pseudocode. So first I'm going to determine the parameter, initialize a possible solution, make the best solution as the queen, then select the drones for the mating flight. Then I'm going for generating the broods. Then I'm going to improve the broods by workers. Then I'm going to fix what will be the termination criteria. Okay, so the same thing only, based upon the algorithm only, we have written the pseudocode for this HBMO. So first the termination criteria are not satisfied. Then I'm going to fill the queen's spermatheca with the trial solution, and then I'm going to generate the broods by crossover and mutation. Then improve the solution and replace all the trial solution with the new generated solution, and then empty the queen's spermatheca. So this is the way by which we have to execute the code for your HBMO. So the queen will mate the drone probabilistically, where the function is given by the probability of the queen and the drone is given by E of power minus del Fi divided by energy. Since the speed and energy of the queen are important parameters, and the value is also given, and the speed of t plus 1 is nothing but what is the energy minus beta, where beta represents what is the decay rate, because as your queen is going to wet with different drones in the process of its mating flight, the speed as well as the energy will decay. So the decay rate is given by means of beta. Okay. Now I have explained you what is meant by your HBMO. Now we are going to apply this HBMO to the modeling of your fuel cells. So everyone will be aware of the fuel cell. So basically the fuel cell is nothing but it is going to convert a chemical energy into a electrical energy. But when you go for the modeling of the fuel cell, there are different parameters that are involved in the case of modeling. But as an electrical engineer, we are supposed to look into the parameters since we are going to use a fuel cell as a source. So when you look into the fuel cell, the output of the single fuel cell will be around 0.6 to 0.7 volt. So normally we go for series connection of your fuel cell so that we get the required output voltage. So one single fuel cell will produce an output of 0.6 to 0.7 volt. So I go for series connection of fuel cell, which we call it as nothing but basically fuel cell stack. Okay, a stack is nothing but series connection of your fuel cell. And for that, when you perform the modeling, you have different parameters which will be affecting the output voltage of the fuel cell. So when you go for the fuel stack, it is basically whenever fuel for of high parameters which will be affecting the voltage and the current from the fuel. So the output voltage of the fuel cell will be affected by the partial pressure of hydrogen, then the partial pressure of oxygen, and partial pressure of your water, that is H2O, and then the temperature of the fuel cell, and then the thickness of the fuel cell membrane, and what will be the cross-sectional area of the fuel cell membrane. Because normally when you plot the characteristics of the fuel cell, we draw V versus J. So the VI characteristics here with respect to the fuel cell is we draw V versus J, where J represents what is the current density. So we know J is nothing but I divided by A. So the area of the fuel cell plays an important role since we are going to find out the characteristics. So the characteristics is referred to as nothing but basically the polarization curve of the fuel cell. So I have applied this HBMO algorithm to optimize the operating temperature, then the thickness of the fuel cell, and also the cross-sectional area of the fuel cell, so that I'll get maximum output voltage from the fuel cell. I've taken only 3 parameters because you have n number of parameters, but the most important parameter which will have a direct impact on the output voltage of the fuel cell only we are going to account. And the type of fuel cell which I've taken for my application is nothing but basically proton exchange membrane fuel cell, which we call it as nothing but basically PEM fuel cell. Why PEM is chosen is nothing but it is having that is the start and startup is faster in the case of PEM fuel cell, and the operating temperature is also only up to 100 degrees centigrade. That is why for most of your transportation and other applications we prefer PEM fuel cell. So the fuel cell is classified based upon the type of electrolyte. Here proton exchange membrane is used. That is why this is called as basically proton exchange membrane fuel cell. So that the parameters which I have taken is operating temperature, because the temperature of the fuel cell is going to influence directly the voltage of the fuel cell. What will be the thickness of the membrane is also going to affect. Then what will be the cross-sectional area of the fuel cell. So I'm going to take X1, X2, X3, where X1 represents what will be the operating temperature, and X2 represents what will be the thickness of the membrane of the fuel cell, and X3 represents what will be the cross-sectional area of the fuel cell. So when I draw or when I write the what is the expression for the output voltage of the fuel cell, VFC, it is given by the open circuit voltage minus the losses that are going to occur in the case of the fuel cell. So normally for a single fuel cell, if I write the expression for the output voltage of the fuel cell, I write VFC as the open circuit voltage or the Nernst voltage minus the losses. There are 3 losses which occurs in the case of fuel cell. One is your activation loss, second one is ohmic loss, and third one is nothing but your concentration loss. So the open circuit voltage is around 1 volt, but due to the losses that occurs in the case of the fuel cell, I get open circuit voltage minus the losses is nothing but output voltage of the single fuel cell is given by 0.6 to 0.7 volt. So the losses and the open circuit voltage expression will depend upon X1, X2, X3, then the flow rate of hydrogen. Here the type of fuel that is employed in the case of your fuel cell is nothing but hydrogen is normally used as fuel cell. So what is the basic operation of the fuel cell is, as long as I'm going to apply an external fuel, it is going to convert a chemical energy into electrical energy. So the basic difference between the battery and the fuel is it is going to give you my continuous electric power as long as I'm going to apply the fuel as an input to the fuel cell where hydrogen is used. So the flow rate of hydrogen also will determine the output voltage of the fuel. Okay, so that is why I have accounted the flow rate is directly influencing the temperature, the thickness of the membrane, and the cross-sectional area of the fuel cell. So the flow rate of hydrogen will also affect the output voltage. That's why I said there are many parameters available, but we have taken the parameters which will have a direct influence or which is going to affect the output voltage of the fuel cell. So VFC represents the output voltage of the fuel cell, which is given by V nernst minus the losses, and you have three types of losses because when I write the objective function, I should write what is the expression for the output voltage of the fuel cell, which is given by V nernst minus V activation minus V ohmic minus V concentration. And all these losses will depend upon X1, X2, X3, then partial pressure of hydrogen, partial pressure of oxygen, flow rate of hydrogen, then the cell temperature, and then other parameters involved in the operation of the fuel cell. So this is the problem that we have formulated. That is why I said the voltage of the fuel cell is E nernst. VFC represents what is output voltage from the fuel cell is nothing but E nernst minus V activation minus V ohmic and minus V concentration. Okay, and we have done this in the case of MATLAB, and we have got the optimized value for the temperature, then for the thickness as well as for the area. So when you model the fuel cell, you have different types of modeling, and with the conventional modeling you can obtain all these parameters before optimization. What is the value of the temperature, but I have not shown here what is the value of the temperature, the thickness and the area before optimization, and you can compare the value after optimization so that you are able to get the maximum output from the fuel cell. So you have different modeling because without knowing the basic operation and the modeling of the fuel cell, you cannot go for applying this HBMO or any type of optimization. You can apply any type of optimization, but we have compared HBMO with PSO, then genetic algorithm and other types of algorithms, so that we have proved that HBMO results in a better output compared to the other types of algorithm. So when you account the modeling of fuel cell, you have different types of modeling. You have electrochemical modeling, then mathematical modeling and graphical modeling also. But best one is to use a mathematical modeling so that you can obtain the static characteristics as well as the dynamic characteristics. So when I account the dynamic characteristics, the flow rate of hydrogen is very important. When I account my static characteristics, the parameters X1, X2, X3, and as I showed you, pH2, PO2, and the temperature of the fuel cell is very important. So normally we go for mathematical modeling. So you get the equations from the standard fuel cell modeling, and then you can write a program and then give the initial parameter values. That means what is the partial pressure, what is the oxygen, that is partial pressure of oxygen, then Faraday's constant, what is the universal gas constant, all these values you can take it from a data sheet. You can refer any type of the fuel cell manufacturer, and then you can take all the constant parameters from the data sheet. Then you get the mathematical equation that is related to the fuel cell, write a M file, or you can do in the case of Simulink, perform the model and try to get what will be the parameters before optimization, and then compare what is output voltage, so that you can compare with the different types of optimization whether you have done the modeling is correct or not. Okay, so now for our optimization we have taken the number of drones as 20, the total number of bees as 90, and the mating flight as 80. The queen has undergone 80 mating flight, and the number of drones, I said 7 to 20 drones. So you can see the number of iterations, and then what is the value of x1, x2, and then x3. And you can see that compared to other types of algorithms, PSO, then GA, then simulated annealing, and then other types of algorithm, we have got, this is the characteristics of the fuel cell. So voltage versus current density. I'm not going to plot V versus I. I'm going to plot V versus J. J is nothing but I divided by A. So the area of the fuel cell plays an important role, so that the curve which is shown in red color will give you a maximum voltage from the fuel cell compared to the other types of algorithms, so that HBMO gives a better solution compared to other type of algorithm. So you can apply this HBMO to any type of algorithm, so that you can find out the optimized values and get a maximized output by applying to any application. So the honeybee optimization is based on the mating strategy. I have not gone for the foraging behavior, so you can apply the foraging behavior also. I have taken only the mating behavior, and I've given an overview of your HBMO, what is its application, then the fundamental and the algorithmic steps. That means when you account your HBMO, first of all, you should understand how the honeybee behaves, what will be the intelligence of the honeybee. And for that, we have to determine two types of algorithm. One is nothing but foraging, and other is nothing but mating. So when I go for foraging, it's very important that you have to account how it is going to collect the food sources. That is nothing but basically foraging. And it is going to identify a particular location for the food source, and then find out what will be the distance of the food source from the nest, what is the quality of the nectar, and then how far it is from the nest. That's only I told you earlier also. And then how it is going to unload the nectar in the case of empty shells, because you should not find any difficulty in unloading. So these are the steps involved in the case of foraging, which we call it as nothing but basically artificial honeybee algorithm. We call it as ABC, artificial bee algorithm, so that we mimic the foraging behavior of your honeybee. Then the next important process is nothing but honeybee mating algorithm. In the case of mating algorithm, we are going to find out who are the components in the case of your mating algorithm. So as we have identified who are the male, who will be the female, and there will be only one queen in the case of your single hive. And there will be thousands of workers and thousands of drones, and the workers and the queen are the female, and these are nothing but the male. So we go for random selection of the drone. Then the queen is going to perform, or is going to undergo the mating flight. Once the mating flight is there, then we are going to find out what will be the solution. Then they go for your drone, that is nothing but what will be the process that is involved by applying the mutation and crossover on the queen. And then I shown you what will be the algorithm, what will the steps that are involved in the case of HBMO. And in the case of HBMO, the most important parameter is nothing but what will be the speed and the energy of the queen. That is the most important parameters in the algorithm, as it is going to control what will be the rate of convergence. So I discussed what will be the flow chart, the basic process involved in the case of mating algorithm. Then I showed you a pseudo code also. Then I applied this mating algorithm to the modeling of the fuel cell and showed you the results compared with the other type of the algorithm. So I thank Dr. Iyer for providing me an opportunity to give you a lecture on optimization.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your presentation. So participants,
Yes,
if you
sir.
have any queries or doubts, you can ask your queries. So anybody? Okay, ma'am, we are going to end up our session. So on behalf
Yeah.
of the Department of E&I, Saram Maliam Engineering College, I would like to thank you very much, ma'am, for making excellent presentations about honeybee algorithm. So and making this STTP interesting and